The Washington Football Maniacs.
All right. Hopefully this is on, and hopefully people will be able to hear me. The last time that I tried to do a live stream, I had audio problems. It seems like there's always something stupid that happens every time when I try to do live streams. Honestly, that's the reason why I don't really do a lot of them. I'll have everything set up, tested ahead of time, and then boom, it seems like whenever I go live, oh, I can't hear you, or the video starts wigging out and all of this junk. So I'm trying it again, and to be honest with you, the whole thing with this channel anyway, it's been crazy. For the three of you or four of you who actually saw my community post a couple of weeks ago, it's pretty frustrating. I kind of decided, you know what, I'm not getting the views on this channel. No one's watching the channel hardly at all. YouTube is not pushing any of my videos, it seems like. I don't know why. Very frustrating, and it's not as fun. I mean, I'll just admit it is not as fun doing these podcasts and things like that when no one pays attention, no one, tunes in. I mean, you know, I might be crazy, and, I might be one of those who might talk to himself every now and then, but it's not fun. It's not fun sitting here and no one is bothering to talk to you, or, just tune in or anything like this. So yeah, it's frustrating. I'll admit it. I don't like it. I don't like it one bit, but it is what it is. But anyway, that's not what this live stream is about. This live stream is about the Washington Commanders winning today, putting in a very good performance against the Las Vegas Raiders with Marcus Mariota backing up today. He was starting today and backing up Jaden Daniels, of course. And yeah, it's just everybody, including myself, I think just had all confidence in the world for Marcus Mariota. And you know what? That's awesome. He really did a very good job today. Was very proud of how he played. The thing with Marcus Mariota is that, I mean, as they were talking about during the game, this was the offense that he pretty much ran at Oregon. So, what better way to really be able to have your backup quarterback giving you all he can, as to being able to run the type of offense that he was used to running in college. And not just that, but certainly, not having to pull back the offense at all because you have a backup quarterback in there starting. They could do everything the same with Marcus Mariota that they can do with Jaden Daniels, which is just awesome. You love seeing that. You really do. And I love seeing that as well. So I am very happy the fact that we have a quarterback like Marcus Mariota who can come in and lead us to an impressive victory over the Raiders. Certainly didn't come with without any sacrifice, though. I can tell you that now, because man, we definitely sacrificed in this game. We had some injuries, and some injuries to some prominent players. Most certainly. Hold on. Sorry, you may have heard. I'm trying to kind of keep a watch on my stream as well. So anyway, so the game today, impressive victory for the Washington Commanders, 41 to, what was it? 41 to 24. Um, Marcus Mariota had a heck of a game today. Got a big bomb downfield to scary Terry McLaurin, who unfortunately hurt his quad. Probably hurt his quad reaching out for that touchdown, and it was a touchdown. The replay showed he never had a body part that touched at all on the ground. Should have been called a touchdown, but it wasn't. Whatever. That's just how it is. So anyway, Terry looks like he's slowly getting back into it. That's going to be concerned to see how that quad's going to go. But at the same time, there were some other injuries that we need to talk about as well. Trey Amos, ankle injury, I believe. That one, that one really hurts. Really hurts a whole lot because Trey Amos has played really well so far in these first 3 games of the season. I mean, he's pretty much been your shutdown corner. And so for him to have an ankle injury, it's very concerning because you know what? When he went out, when Lattimore went out, suddenly it feels like you've got like, I don't know, someone on social media said something like, well, now entering the game is David Emerson and who else was it that they said? I mean, I was like, yeah, I kind of get that because it really felt like the just the talent level went way down. Now Noah Igby came in and had a really good play, but I'm telling you, if Lattimore, and I've been kind of hard on Lattimore, I don't know, I just not have had the I don't know. It just felt like Lattimore needs to be doing more for us, but he played really well today until his injury. He was out what looked to be a concussion. So now you're wondering, are we going to have Lattimore back for next week? Is he going to be out for several weeks? How bad is this concussion? Trey Amos, if he's going to be out, that's really going to put a lot of strain on our secondary, who honestly, when you looked at their secondary, looked like they were going to be one of the best secondaries in the league. I think I had mentioned that before in some of my past videos that, of course, people never watch. But I had said, you know what, we have got one of the best secondaries in the league, and we shouldn't have any problems with teams going over top and scoring touchdowns like crazy. Well, now it might be a concern because if you got Trey Amos out, you got Lattimore out. We already had an injury, season-ending injury in the secondary last week. Suddenly, your secondary is starting to be really, really thin, and this is not good news for the Commanders. You may see Adam Peters kind of going out there in free agency lane and seeing if there's somebody he might be able to snag for us, because we're going to need all the help we can get in that secondary. Of course, we had injury to, hold on just a second. Let me look it up. Will Harris went out for an injury as well. So now our secondary's cooked. If these injuries keep mounting up, secondary's cooked. It's just all there is to it. This is not very good news for Washington. And a day when the defense ate like crazy. Only a 4-man rush all day long, and they got to the Raiders. They got to Geno Smith quite a bit today. At least 4 sacks today of Geno Smith. And they did a really good job of stopping the run for the Las Vegas Raiders as well, which was exciting to see, certainly. Ashton Gentry, he did have 17 carries and 63 yards. He had like that one nice run, that 18-yard run. But for the most part, the Commanders kept the running game in check. And I thought that was good. I mean, 93 yards total for the team for runs, for rushing. for the Las Vegas Raiders. So Washington did a tremendous job of stopping the run against the Raiders, forcing Geno Smith to go out there and win the game. And Geno Smith, now he didn't turn the ball over. He did what he could. He was under duress all day long. He was 19 for 29, 289 yards, 3 touchdowns. Um, a couple of those touchdowns you probably felt coming in garbage time. But hey, I mean, the Raiders, they got it down to 10 points. So, I mean, a 10-point lead is not a huge lead in this league. And I was getting a little concerned there at one time. But Washington, of course, pulled away with that first ever touchdown for Luke McCaffrey. Come on, people. Give Luke some credit, man. Scoring his first touchdown. You can say, well, Greg, that was in garbage time. You know what? Who cares? He scored a touchdown. I'm happy for him. And, if you're not happy for him, you're just haters. That's all I got to say. So there we go. Luke McCaffrey, Zach Ertz had 3 receptions for 38 yards. Of course, Terry McLaurin had 3 receptions. That big bomb downfield, the 56-yard completion to Terry McLaurin, that, yes, was a touchdown. I will say that again and again. But, Bill picked up the score on that drive. So that was nice to see. Krosky Merritt, he had a pretty decent day. I mean, 8 carries, 26 yards. Yeah, it didn't sound like much, but he didn't really, felt like he should have carried the ball a little bit more. But I mean, I'm looking at the rushing attempts right now, and it was kind of even for the most part. Marcus Mariota had 6 rushing attempts himself for 40 yards. Jeremy McNichols, 78 yards. Of course, that one big 60-yard run by Jeremy McNichols. I'll get it out. Chris Rodriguez, 39 yards rushing. So, Debo got in there as well with some rushing yards. Marcus Mariota, 15 of 21 for 207 yards, a touchdown. He did fumble the football on one of those big runs. Happens. Going to have to hold on to that football, man. Hold on to the rock. But overall, honestly, Washington should have scored a lot more than what they did. Yes, they scored 41 points, but they should have been up 21-0 in the first half. I mean, they left a lot of points, it felt like, on the field there. And, the Raiders, I've always felt like teams like the Raiders, they're the type of team that you don't want to just kind of leave hanging around. You want to be able to put them away early, and the Commanders had every chance to put them away early, and they just didn't do it. But still convincing win for Washington. I'm very happy they're 2-1 now. What I'm not happy about is the fact that those darn Eagles were able to come away with a win. A blocked field goal. One of my friends who's a big Eagles fan, he always texts me when he says that Jahan Dotson had called a pass. He's always got to update me on Jahan Dotson. But this was a game that honestly, Jalen Hurts didn't look great again. He has not looked good all season long so far. I remember seeing Eagles fans talking about he's going to be a league MVP. No, he's not. He has not played well at all. And honestly, this was a game that the Eagles should have lost. They have played some very close games. Honestly, there's a fine line for the Eagles this year. They're 3-0. They could have easily been 0-3. The way that they have played this year so far. Blocked field goals in this game was really the difference. They blocked the last one and scooped it up and ran it for a touchdown. Game honestly was much closer. The Rams should have won this football game. They were up on the Eagles by quite a bit. there at one point and allowed the Eagles come back. You can't do that. I mean, the Eagles are a good enough team, but Jalen Hurts has not been able to show that he can put together a complete game, and that's kind of how he was last year as well. You know, Eagles fans are going to say, guess what? We keep winning. Well, you keep winning because you've got a tremendous team built around Jalen Hurts, but it's not because of Jalen Hurts. I can tell you that right now. It's because of guys like Saquon Barkley. Um, if you can just get the ball to AJ Brown, he's able to gain that yak after that. And so, you know, you got to shut guys like that down. And then you key on those two guys. You got Devontae Smith that you got to worry about. So, you know, that is the big story with the Eagles. I don't think their defense has necessarily played tremendous this year either. Like I said, they have had some games where they should have lost, and they were just very lucky that they won those games. But here's the craziness with the NFL: the Green Bay Packers lost to the Cleveland Browns today, and they didn't they didn't look well at all. I don't know what it was. Maybe they started feeding into the hype a little too much. But this is what I've told you a lot, and this is what I've said a lot, either in these videos or just when I'm talking football off air. I'm like, you know, you can't really put a lot of stock into the first few weeks of the season. You really can't. Now, you have to in a way, because if you get into a hole, like take a team like Cincinnati in the past where they had dug themselves into a hole and it took like all season long to get out of the hole, and then they missed the playoffs by just a little bit. You can't allow yourself to get into a hole during the season, during the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season, but at the same time, you also can't put a lot of stock into those first few weeks, especially the first 2 weeks of the season, because teams are still kind of starting to, you know, they're still gelling, because quite frankly, a lot of it has to do with a shortened preseason. 3 games, it's not really enough for a team to really be able to understand what they have, to have all of the wrinkles ironed out, to be really truly ready for the season. But you know, as we're trending onward throughout these seasons, honestly, the NFL is moving more toward making preseason more or less a practice. And what I mean is, I think in the future, especially if we do go 18 games in a season, you're probably going to wind up seeing teams revert to just scrimmages, you know, joint practices and scrimmages throughout the preseason instead of actual regular games. Because the thing is that these preseason games, you just don't, you want to keep your players healthy, your starters healthy, but at the same time they still need the reps. And so when you get into the regular season, your starters really don't have enough reps and don't really have their legs under them just yet to really be able to say that they are ready for the season. And so you, a lot of times you'll see teams come out, and either you'll see a team be very tremendous because they played their starters a lot more, possibly, as opposed to some other teams that are playing it more safer. And so you tend to have kind of a skewed idea of how these teams are going to be through the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season. It's just really hard to tell. And it, you know, it's been this way, honestly. Even when we had a longer preseason, I've seen teams come out and be 4-0 and they look like a team that's not going to be beaten. And then all of a sudden, they'll wind up not making the playoffs. They'll hit stretches where they're losing games, 3 or 4 games in a row, and so they kind of crash and tumble toward the end of the season. And so overall, I think, well, Greg, what is your point with all this? The point is that, excuse me, the point is that because that there's a shortened preseason, then you're going to not have your starters playing, full-fledged mid-season form at the beginning of the season. It takes them honestly a few weeks to really get their legs under them. The other issue is you also start to get injuries. Why do you get injuries? Well, you get injuries because you may have some young, inexperienced players coming in there. And, when the game is so fast, you're grabbing on, you're hitting below the knees, you're doing whatever you can to stop the other team. And because you haven't been able to get that experience together yet, then you're kind of, you're holding on to dear life, basically. You start to injure other players. I think that's what happened with Jaden Daniels and other players like that as well. And so then you start to see injuries pile up. And for Washington last year, they were just very, very fortunate. And here's the thing, too. It's like this shows you when a team is healthy and they can stay healthy, they can go a long ways. I mean, we saw it last year. Washington went all the way to the NFC Conference Championship game. They were one of the healthiest teams in the league. But this year, it's polar opposite. We continue to see players get hurt, and that's really going to start affecting this team on the field. Now, we do have some really good backups in key positions. Marcus Mariota backing up Jaden Daniels, a very key position there at the quarterback position. There's no drop off, honestly, with that. We have running back by committee. We've had Austin Eckler to go down, but we've had the other guys to step up. Jeremy McNichols today, boom. I have not seen him make a run like that. And I'm not sure if I've ever seen him make a run like that, but, he balled out today. So all of these guys played really well. But it's a good thing that we got a deep backfield for the running backs, but receivers, now Terry McLaurin, we've been talking about, well, he needs to start stepping it up. He's got his contract now. And you saw him on that deep ball. I mean, he was open. He called it. He's run toward the end zone. Then he gets hurt. Hopefully it's not going to be too bad of an injury, but he's hurt. Again, Trey Amos, Marshawn Lattimore, both go out for injuries. Will Harris goes out with an injury. Suddenly your secondary's in trouble. And that's part of the reason why the Raiders were able to get to 24 points today, because 2 of those touchdowns came when Lattimore and Amos were out of the ball game, and they were pretty much shut down all day long. And so that's the thing. When our secondary is healthy, they are truly one of the best secondaries in the league. But when they're hurt, that's when you start to see a drop off, and we're seeing a drop off with that. Hopefully these guys will be healthy enough to play next week. Now they're going against the Atlanta Falcons, who got crushed today by, of all teams, the Carolina Panthers crushed them today. Now I'm happy for the Panthers. The Panthers are just down the road from me. So, I'm always pleased that a hometown team like the Panthers do well. Redskins are always my team through and through. I'm not like one of those guys that, well, I've got 3 favorite teams. No, I mean, I'm Washington first and foremost. I've not been able to switch, but I am always happy for the Panthers, and because they are the hometown team. Luckily they're not really a rival. They don't play in the NFC East, which honestly geographically they should, but it's a whole different story. But so they crushed the Atlanta Falcons today. Michael Penix was replaced for Kirk Cousins, and so now what's going to happen is Kirk Cousins, is he healthy? Is he ready to lead Atlanta? I think it's possible you may see him stay in there, but Penix just didn't play well. I don't think Penix has necessarily been horrible to say. I've watched him a little bit. He's played pretty decent, but yeah, today I kept my eye on that game, and he just didn't look good at all. I mean, the Falcons just, who knows? Maybe what's his name? Koo, that they cut the kicker. Maybe he was the glue that kept the Falcons together. Honestly, I know a lot of us are thinking, let's bring him in as a kicker because, of course, Matt Gay misses within under a 40-yard field goal attempt. He misses it, but then he redeems himself with one that was over 50 at the end of the first half, and he kicked another field goal. So you're kind of like, well, okay, maybe he redeemed himself enough to stick with the team, but a lot of us are kind of thinking, why not go out and get another kicker? Because you're going to have games. There were games that came down to the wire today that required field goal to win. The Rams kicker got blocked twice today. He could have won that game for the Rams. The Browns did win their game with their field goal kicker. And so that shows you that a lot of these games come down to the winning kick. I mean, we saw it last year with Gonzalez. The thud in to advance into the playoffs last year, into the divisional round. I don't trust Matt Gay. I hate to say that, but I don't. I don't trust Matt Gay to win a football game for us. I think when it comes down to it, he's going to miss it. When it's field goals that are not necessarily field goals that are, like you're up by like, 7 points, 10 points, whatever. Okay, you missed the field goal. We're still up. Okay, we can handle it. But when it comes down to wire high pressured field goals, I have no faith in Matt Gay. I hate to say that, but I have no faith in Matt Gay whatsoever. So overall, I think the thing is, during this season so far, like I said, the first 3 games of the season, the first 3 weeks, I don't know you put much stock in anything. I mean, like right now I'm looking, Dallas is losing to Chicago 14-6. Chicago has started off pretty bad. Kansas City, they're 0-2. I don't expect them to continue a trajectory down. They will. I still think that they're going to be in the playoffs. I don't see how that they really go downhill from there. Pittsburgh won. Indianapolis, now that is a team right there that is so surprising to me. Daniel Jones rolls up into Indianapolis, and suddenly he's like the next Peyton Manning for them. It's just tremendous what he is doing so far for the Colts. But I mean, he has played tremendously well for them. I'm looking around. Of course, Pittsburgh continues to win with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. Seattle right now, they're thumping the Saints 28-3. My goodness. So, yeah, I mean, this league, you really don't know what to expect. You think when you're seeing some of these teams play in the first couple of weeks, it's like, oh man, Green Bay is they're a they're an established team that is, they got it all together, and they may still be that team at the end of the season. They may still be a team that goes into the playoffs, goes into the Super Bowl and wins it all this year. But they didn't play that well today, obviously. They didn't look at all like the team that played us on that Thursday night game. And again, the Eagles, yes, Eagles fans will call me a hater. And guess what? I am a hater. I do not like the Eagles whatsoever. And I think that the Eagles are one of the worst 3-0 teams so far in this. Now, yeah, you can also say, well, Greg, you just got through saying that you don't put too much stock in the first few weeks of the season. Well, you know what? It starts when you start to see kind of the similar stuff. Jalen Hurts he's not played well. He's not played well. And the Eagles, they have won tough games. But I mean, they're not winning decisively. They're not this dominant team that's going out and showing everybody that they're Super Bowl champions. They're a team that's scraping these victories and getting by on the tush push that should be illegal. I think we can all agree that there's a penalty of either lined up in the neutral zone or false starts every single time they run that play. And I just think that that's the reason why you got somebody like the Eagles who are 3-0, because I guarantee you, if that play is outlawed, you're not going to see the Eagles winning double digits all the time. You're not going to see them, winning 12 games or more. They might be lucky if they win 10 games, but they're not going to be a Super Bowl team, because I think that play has helped them out tremendously. And I think it's sad because the play just allows them to get offsides, to start offsides, start in the neutral zone, and then to get off the ball early. It's just a play that should be outlawed. And I think after this year, it probably will be. So anyway, Washington next week plays the Falcons. And that's the reason why that we had mentioned the Falcons, because now suddenly it's not about, or is it? Is it going to be Michael Penix versus Jaden Daniels? Or is it going to be a story of Kirk Cousins coming back and playing his old team once again? Is it going to be Kirk Cousins versus Marcus Mariota? Could very well be the case again. We don't know. But that's another 1:00 game. And then we don't have another early game until, I'm looking at it, we don't have another early game until we play the Vikings in December. And that's an early game. And then we'll follow that up with a early game against the Giants December the 14th. And after that, you've got 2 games, those 2 Eagles games. We still don't know. Those could be flexed, and it's a possibility if Washington is if they're look like they're going to be playoff bound, those games are probably going to be flexed. So really, after next week, you're looking at only 3 games left that are early games for Washington. The rest of them are either 4:00 games or primetime games. And so there you go. I like 4:00 games personally. I just, I don't know what it is. I just really like 4:00 games so much better. I know some people hate 1:00 games and hate primetime games. Um, this year, I'm probably having to hate primetime games a little bit more because I've been having to get up an extra hour earlier to take my wife to work, take my son to school. Um, you know, we're down to one car. My wife, of course, was in a very bad car accident back in August, so I've had to get up early or just not getting as much sleep, and so because of all that, I tend to get really sleepy about 8 o'clock, and so for Washington to play these 8 o'clock games, I'm hoping that by that point that we'll have a second car and that I can kind of get back to my regular schedule a little bit, because that's the only reason why I don't like those primetime games. Otherwise, I love primetime games. I think they're awesome. I do like 4 o'clock games. I just feel like you don't have to rush around and stuff during the day to get home and stuff after church, and you can kind of just chill out, maybe have a good lunch with your family and stuff like that. So, of course, I'm talking um, through the lens of a guy who doesn't really get to go to the games in person. So I'm watching these games at home. And anyway, um, the schedule is going to be fun. But yeah, Atlanta next week. And I tell you, after today, again, how much stock do we put into any of this? Because the Packers came out and handled us pretty well, um, you know, back on that Thursday game. And then they just didn't look good at all today. And they lost to the not the Bengals, but the Browns. Atlanta, of course, looked horrible today, but they're not going to have the repeat performance. As a matter of fact, this is going to be a road game. This is going to be in the Falcon Stadium, so this is going to be a tough game for Washington. So they're going to have to be able to withstand the crowd noise again, and we just don't know what's going to happen at that point. They got some really good players. Was it Bijan Robinson? Guys like that. Michael Pitts. You got to watch out for him. And then, are we going to get Michael Penix? And if we do, what version of Michael Penix are we getting? Or are we going to get Kirk Cousins? Is Kirk Cousins, is he going to be good enough to lead the team to a victory over us? I think this is a very scary game, just because most teams, after a thumping and getting shut out like they did, they don't want to allow that to happen a second time, and so they're going to be coming out fired up with something to prove in that game. But it does make you feel like on the other side of that, that um, all right, this is a team that is struggling. This is not a team that's showing that they can be a playoff team, at least from the start. And again, I realize it's any given Sunday, and you can't put a lot of stock. If I'm going to have the backbone to keep with what I said, I got to say that. So, but it is a game that you're thinking now, I'm not so scared about this game. I think that Washington, assuming that we get some good news from the injury list, that this is a game that they can come out and win. And I expect them to play well. If we have to go with Marcus Mariota again, I don't think that's a bad thing. Obviously today he showed that he could play well, and he might be itching to kind of, come back and beat his old team. So that is something that we'll have to see. But Washington 2-1 now, going into that Atlanta game next week. Things are looking a little crazy with the injuries, but they got some tough games after that. If they get past Atlanta, now you got the Chargers to deal with. You got the Bears in a primetime game. Everyone's circling that one, because how many times do we hear it from Caleb Williams fans who really, up to this point, have not really had much to talk about. Um, and then after that, you got Cowboys game. It's always a big game. You got um, the Chiefs game. That's a huge game. At that point, I expect the Chiefs to be playing well at that point. Then after that, you got Seattle. You got the Detroit Lions. You know they're circling that game. Um, and honestly, very, very tough schedule ahead. Dolphins game doesn't scare me as much. Broncos game honestly doesn't scare me as much either. Um, don't know what to expect with the Vikings. The Vikings came out and just, I mean, thumped Cincinnati. And then, of course, you know, the rest of the games are all NFC East games to end the season. So I think, honestly, these next three games, especially, you know, Washington needs to try to win these games. Um, you know, Falcons game, Bears game, Cowboys games, those are pretty important. The reason why they're NFC East games, so you want to be able to win as many of those NFC East games as you possibly can. You know, if I'm going to drop a game, I'd rather drop a game to an AFC than the NFC. So you want to be able to come out and play well. So let's see what happens, folks. I'm very excited that this team came out rebounded from a terrible showing on the Thursday night game, and it played well. It also lets me know, looking at the parity of the league, Packers didn't play well, so now there's question marks. Well, maybe they're not the team that looked like they were going to be this great team through the first 2 weeks. Suddenly, they kind of came out and laid an egg. Again, I don't trust the Eagles. I think that they're winning because they get some lucky breaks. They get the calls, but they haven't played well. And I think at some point they're going to get smashed in the face. I really do. I think they're going to get smashed. I would love for Washington to be the team to smash them in the face, but I think before then they're going to probably get it. So anyway, folks, honestly, there's not really much going on in chat. Warhawk Rambo is always one who is very supportive. Says, I root for Washington, whoever's playing Dallas, of course. And they say any given Sunday for a reason, of course. So I will say, you know, to kind of end the stream, I'll just, you know, again, some housekeeping here. I really wasn't expecting to come on and do this stream. The reason why I did, I love doing YouTube, and I love, you know, talking about Washington. And it is frustrating when I'm not getting the views like I used to. I know that YouTube is kind of, you know, that they've done this thing with AI where AI is really controlling who gets pushed and who doesn't. And I hate that because I feel like that is not very fair for a lot of channels. And there's been some huge channels who have also taken a lot of, um, you know, uh, I guess thuds or thumps. I don't know what else to say, but you know, there's been some huge channels who have came out and said, "Look, I have like 1 million and some subscribers, and I'm averaging 40,000 views." And now, me, I would love to have 40,000 views per video, but I don't have 1 million subscribers. You know, I've got how many subscribers do I have? I think I have 4,000, 4,500, something like that. So, you know, for me, being able to hit 1,000 views is pretty good. That's what I feel like. Well, that's a quarter of my subscribers. So if a quarter of my subscribers watched every video, I should be able to at least have 1,000 views per video. So, you know, knowing that videos, even when I advertise like, hey, I'm dropping this video at this time, and then I see like two or three views for hours after it's been released, there's something wrong. Um, I have um, I have one of my really loyal subscribers who will message me on X, and he's like, "I don't ever see your videos," and that's because YouTube doesn't push them. I don't know why YouTube doesn't do it. I don't think. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think that I necessarily am any worse, with my content than anybody else out there. Everybody else seems to speak their mind on things, and so I've really come down to. That's the reason why. Again, if you go to my community section, you'll see a big post where I pretty much ended the channel, and I still feel that way. Honestly, I feel like the channel is still ended. I'm just doing this because I like doing it. But it is frustrating because no one watches anymore. Even people I know, um, they're like, "Are you still doing your channel?" And I was like, "I've been putting out videos." I was like, "Why?" And they're like, "Oh, I never see them." Thanks, YouTube. That's why, honestly, I am seriously thinking in terms of moving solely to Rumble completely. And for those of you who don't know what Rumble is, go to rumble.com. They're basically a competitor of YouTube. And, you know, I, I've got a lot of videos out there for the Maniacs. They're kind of sporadic. I don't put all of the videos there because honestly, I don't remember half the time to upload to Rumble. But I'm really thinking about going ahead and pulling the trigger and saying, you know what, if YouTube's not going to support me, I would rather at least know that if I'm getting only like 50 views on a video, I'd rather it be 50 views uh, on a platform like Rumble where they're smaller than YouTube, because the ratio with that really that's being a little bit more successful, right? I mean, yeah, I'm not making any money, but it's not just about money for me. It's about really being able to talk to fans and meet fans and stuff like that, and just for the love of the team. Um, I really thought it was really weird with YouTube when I had Joe Theismann on the channel, and when I was watching the views, the click rates, whatever you want to call it, it's like, why are people not watching this? I have Joe Theismann on the podcast. He is a legendary Redskins quarterback who won us our very first Super Bowl. You would have thought that I would have had 10,000 views on that video within like 10 minutes. And it took months for that video to get over 1,000 views. And I was just sitting there like, I don't understand this. That's when I first started to realize there's something wrong with the channel. And yeah, it's just that really bugged me. And since then, it's been a struggle. It's like, feel like the only time that I actually do get views is when I have to be almost so clickbaity with a title that, um, then I get a lot of negative heat from the comments. And then that doesn't do your channel any good either, because when people start putting negative comments on your channel, on your videos, then YouTube sees that and they're like, that stops the push as well. And I just noticed in general, even when it wasn't like that, I started seeing more negative comments from folks. Um, I could have had perfect content, and then there would be folks who would come on there and just say negative stuff that had nothing to do with the content at all. And suddenly it's like YouTube sees that and they're like, yep, I'm not going to push this. And so I would probably say that if you do want to support this channel, the things that you can do, which is free to you: number one, subscribe. Number two, make sure that you have your notifications set for my videos, even though YouTube still doesn't notify you, even when you do that. And three, if you do decide you want to leave a comment, think about the comment that you want to make. Make sure it's not a negative comment. Say something positive. Hit the thumbs up. The thumbs up button really helps a lot. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna like this stream because that signifies YouTube and saying, oh, people are liking this. Let me start to push this out to more and more folks. Um, but if you're sitting there and you're watching it and it's great, but you don't really interact, then it doesn't really help a lot. I mean, the views certainly help. Don't get me wrong, and I appreciate you sitting and watching, but at the same time, um, YouTube has really cracked down on this channel for one reason or another. And then you also get guys who they go to every single game. They got season tickets. And so, of course, if they have podcasts, they've met so many people that, they're like, hey, I got this podcast. We drop videos this time or another. You're going to get support. It's a little bit tougher for me. I'm in North Carolina. I don't have the money for season tickets. My family comes first. And so I don't get that opportunity to be able to go to a game on a regular basis and meet people and just really start talking and get them fully entrenched into my channel. I wished I could, because if that was the case, I feel like this channel would succeed a lot better than what it has. But because I'm kind of an outlier and I'm like 5-6 hours away, I'm not able to go to games like others can. It does put me in a very big disadvantage, and I hate that. But a few years ago when I first started this channel, it didn't matter. I was you know, people were watching the channel. They really enjoyed the channel. They enjoyed the content, and things were going great. But that was also around the time of COVID, so you were going to have a lot more people watching YouTube during COVID. Of course, at one point, people were not even able to go to the games, and so they were able to tune into these podcasts a lot more because they were not able to actually go to the game itself. So there are a lot of factors involved with really helping to get this channel going and doing really well at the start. But yeah, quite frankly, it's been very difficult, especially in this last year, and watching the views just go completely down, even when I try to share it out to other places, it gets buried. And so that's when I finally decided, and I put out that message saying the channel's over, basically. So I know I've continued to release videos, but it's with the sole expectation of zero. Right there's no expectation. Like, if nobody watched the videos at all, like the only person who watched it was me and my family, then I would totally expect that. I have no expectations whatsoever with this channel at this point, because people are frankly not supporting the channel. And I hate that. And I'm not sitting here whining about it. you know it does hurt my heart. It does break my heart, because I put a lot of my time and effort into it, and my family has really loved me doing this. And let me tell you, it's not been because of the money. Because um you know I would probably say collectively, within the last 4 years, I don't even think I've broke $1,000 earned total with this channel. So it's not about me coming here and saying you need to watch because I need the money. It's you know it's very hard to keep these channels up and going, and to really put a lot of time and effort into the content, and setting aside family time to record the stuff and to edit videos and things like that. And then when you go through all that trouble, and again, you've had the podcast for 4 years or so, and you go through all that trouble, and then your videos don't even break 100 views within 3 days of it being up, then you're like, what's the use of doing this? I can understand if it was a brand new channel and, you know, no one knew about it, but there's at least 4,500 people who know about the channel, because there's 4,500 people who have subscribed to the channel, and they simply don't watch. And so if the people who are subscribed don't watch, then YouTube is not going to show it out to those who are not subscribed either. And so, because of that, that's the reason why I had made the decision. I was like, look, this channel's toast. Um, I may go and start another channel. I don't know. I may go and start just an overall NFL channel. Maybe I'll reach out to some other people. But it's obvious that uh, this niche, especially for Washington, has gotten so saturated, especially now since they are much better, that there's just way too many of these podcasts. And I hate that my podcast is one of the ones that's really suffered, but it is what it is. Um, there for a while, I saw a lot of like AI slop podcasts that came out for Washington. And what really sucked was when when those videos that were completely AI, like there was nothing in those videos that was, humanly generated. And they were getting, over 1,000 views at least per video. And then mine was struggling. And I was like, that's not fair and that's not right. And so I'm like, screw it. It's done. So that's why I don't know if you will actually see me doing streams like this very often. I know this year I'd said I'm going to do a stream after every single game. I'm going to release videos twice a week at 7 o'clock, Tuesdays and Fridays, because that is during the peak hours of when my subscribers and when people who watch these particular type of videos are online. And that quite frankly didn't work. And so I'm like, you know what? Okay, whatever. Um, I know when to bow out, and I will bow out as gracefully as I possibly can. And if people don't want this channel to die, start watching the freaking videos. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I had someone who asked, well, why are you quitting? I was like, well, why don't you go visit the channel and you see the views? And you can kind of start put two and two together and realize why um, I'm fed up with it. And it's very frustrating. And it's not easy putting yourself out there. I'm putting myself out here for the public to see and to be judged. And I often have times where I'm being judged on my pronunciation of um, names and things like that. And which I think is dumb, but that's just what it is. I get a lot of that. And it's usually by people who are not, don't have the balls to get in front of the camera and do it themselves. Uh, but it's pretty darn easy to sit back and pick on other people, but you're not going to do it. And so it's also, I think, as well, when I don't really have the backing of any other YouTubers as much. I mean, um, and that doesn't mean, now I know that I need to do a little bit better job of reaching out and collaborating. Um, but I'm seeing kind of, you're seeing a handful of YouTubers who are kind of like gotten their clique together and they're supporting each other. And now with some of the changes that YouTube is making, that's actually going to really help them out a whole lot. Um, but I don't really have that as much. But I'm always willing. I'm always willing to go on other people's uh, podcast and talk Washington Redskins stuff. Um, and I'm more than willing to have people on my podcast as well. I wanted to have more people on my podcast, but um, that I'm not going to rumble on anymore on this because we're hitting an hour on this stream, and I've got to fix dinner for my little one. So I think I'm going to slowly start to end this, but just if you don't hear from the Washington Football Maniacs for a bit, well, quite frankly, it's because, you know what, if I have time, I'll do a video. If not, I won't. I've got some other projects that I have been working on that I think I'm going to see if I can grow those projects. And, they're not football related, but they are other YouTube channels that I've been pursuing. Um, I mean, they just started like last week. So, I think one channel I have like 10 subscribers on, another one I have 5. So, I mean, those have just started. So, I think I'm going to put a little bit more time and effort into those because, again, no one watches this channel like they used to. And even though that I love Washington football and I want to keep doing this, and I'm proud of being able to be a YouTuber doing this, um, I'm not crazy. I'm not going to sit here and waste my time when no one really cares to watch. So, and again, that's not me crying about it. It's just like, it is what it is. At this point, if you want this channel to keep going, it's up to you guys. Tune in, watch the videos, share the videos with others. I've said this quite a bit in my other videos. Share it out. Um, you know, Leave a thumbs up, leave a positive comment. If you really want to be able to have this on, and if you don't care, then you don't care. That's fine. I don't care either at this point. So anyway, hate to leave those on such a sour note, but because we did win today, I'm proud of it. Washington did great today. I can't wait to see them play Atlanta next week. Hopefully, they keep up the winning ways next week. I'd love to see us hit 3-1. I think that's going to be a really good thing for us if we can get to the end of the 4th week at 3-1, because we are going to have what I consider a pretty rough stretch after that. Anyway, folks, thank you for the very, very few who sat in on this the stream. Hope you enjoyed it. And with that, I will see you in the next one. If there is a next one, there may not be, but I'll see you on the flip side.